Ariba was a quiet girl with kind eyes. She lived in a small town where everyone knew everyone. People said she was the most honest girl they had ever met. She helped the poor, taught little children for free, and always smiled at strangers. Old. Women blessed her, shopkeepers respected her, and young girls wanted to be like her. She is strong, they said. She is honest. But no one knew what Ariba was hiding in her heart. She lived with her mother in a small house with blue windows. Her father had died years ago. Life was hard, but Ariba never complained. She worked in a school and took care of her mother. Every day was the same, simple and peaceful. Until that one night. It was raining. The streets were empty. The sky was dark and loud with thunder. Ariba was sitting near the window reading a book. Her mother was in the kitchen making tea. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Ariba opened it. No one was there. She looked around. Only the sound of rain. Then she saw it. A small white envelope on the floor. A letter. She picked it up. There was no name, no address. Only one word written in red ink, truth. Ariba's hands began to shake. Her face turned pale. She quickly closed the door and ran to her room. Her mother followed. What happened? Beta! Who was at the door? Ariba forced a smile. No one, Ami, just the wind. But her heart was beating fast. She sat on her bed, opened the envelope, and slowly pulled out the letter. The paper was thin. The handwriting was familiar. Very familiar. She read the first line. You can hide from the world, but you can't. Hide from yourself. Her eyes filled with tears. She knew who wrote it. Zane. She had not seen him for 3 years. Not after what happened. Not after that night. The memories hit her like a wave. She was 19. He was her closest friend. Maybe more than a friend. They used to walk together, laugh together, dream together, but something terrible happened. Something that broke her heart. And her trust. That night, Ariba walked into a place she should never have gone. She saw something she was never meant to see. And Zane, he was there. After that, everything changed. She left the college. She stopped talking to him. She stayed quiet for years, burying the truth deep inside her. And now, this letter, this voice from the past, this whisper of a secret she tried to forget. She read more. I stayed silent because I was scared. But you were always brave. You protected me that night, even when you were the one who got hurt. I owe you the truth. They need to know what happened before someone else tells them their version. Ariba dropped the letter. Her chest felt heavy. Her mother knocked again. Ariba? Are you okay? I'm fine, Ami, she said, wiping her tears. But she wasn't fine. Something inside her had broken open. Why now? Why after so many years? Who else knew? She couldn't sleep that night. Her eyes stayed open, staring at the ceiling. The sound of rain outside reminded her of that night, that same rainy night years ago. The next morning, news spread. A man had gone missing. His last location? Near Ariba's street. Police came. They asked questions. Ariba stayed silent. Her mother looked confused. One officer said, "Someone sent us a letter, anonymous. It mentions your name." Ariba's heart dropped. The past was no longer in the past. It had returned. The sky was gray. Clouds moved slowly, as if they carried secrets. Ariba sat by the window staring outside. Her mother was watering the plants. Everything looked normal. But Ariba knew. Nothing was normal anymore. That letter had changed everything. Someone knew her secret. Someone wanted the past to come back. And now the police had started asking questions. Ariba's heart was not calm. It beat like a drum in a war. That evening, she walked to the market. People were staring, whispering. Some smiled politely, others looked away. Ariba could feel the change, even the shopkeeper, who always greeted her with "Ariba Baji, how are you?" Only gave her a silent nod. She bought some fruits, kept her eyes low, and walked back. But halfway to her home, she heard a voice behind her. "Ariba." She froze. That voice, she turned around. It was Zane. After 3 years, he looked different. A small beard, tired eyes, but the same way of standing, like he was never afraid. She didn't say a word. Zane took a step forward. "Please, just listen to me." Ariba stepped back. "Why are you here?" "I had to come." "That letter?" "I sent it." "I know." He looked down. "You were always strong. You stayed quiet for me. But now, someone else knows. If they twist the truth, it will destroy both of us." Ariba clenched her fists. "You had 3 years to speak the truth." "Why now?" "Because now I have no choice," he whispered. Before she could say anything, a loud noise came from the road, a car speeding, splashing dirty water near them. She stepped aside. By the time she looked back, Zane was gone, like a shadow. That night she found another letter. This time it was taped to her gate. No name again. But the message was cold. "Tell them the truth, or I will." She ran inside and locked the door. Her hands were shaking. She didn't tell her mother. She didn't sleep. Memories kept attacking her like knives. 3 years ago, on a rainy night like this one, she had gone to an old building near the college. She was looking for Zane. He hadn't answered his phone for days. She was worried. But what she saw inside that building, she could still hear the screams, the argument, the glass breaking, blood, and then silence. Zane had stood there, frozen. She pulled him out before anyone came. She helped him escape. She cleaned the blood from his hands. She never asked questions. She never told anyone. And Zayn? He disappeared from her life until now. The next morning, police came again. This time, they had questions about the missing man, Rashid Mahmoud, a businessman, known for illegal deals. They showed her a photo. "Have you seen him around your street?" She shook her head. "No, sir." But her voice was weak. The officer watched her carefully. "If you remember anything, tell us. Don't wait too long." As they left, Ariba sat down on the floor. Her heart felt heavy. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I stayed quiet once. I don't know if I can stay quiet again." Suddenly, her mother walked in. "What's wrong, Beta? You're not yourself." These days, Ariba looked at her. For the first time in years, she wanted to speak, to tell someone, but how could she? Her truth would break her mother's heart. So she lied again. "I'm just tired, Ami." That evening, she went to the rooftop. The wind was strong. Her scarf flew behind her. She looked at the town, the people, the noise, the lights. So many lives. So many lies. She heard a phone buzz in her pocket. Unknown number. A message. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Behind the old mosque. Come alone. Her hands trembled. Was it Zane or someone else? She knew one thing. The past wasn't done with her yet. The old mosque stood silently at the edge of the town. Its walls were cracked, its windows dusty, and the wind made strange sounds as it passed through the empty building. Ariba walked slowly, her eyes watching every shadow. It was 6:59 p.m. She was early, but her heart was already racing. She had told no one where she was going, not even her mother. The message had said, "Come alone." So she did. Her hands were cold. Her thoughts were louder than the wind. What if this was a trap? What if someone wanted to hurt her, or worse, expose her? Suddenly a figure stepped out from behind the mosque wall. Zane. Again. But this time his eyes were different. Not scared, not angry. Just tired. "I didn't think you'd come," he said. Ariba's voice was quiet. "I want to know why. You dragged me back into this." Zane looked at the ground. "Because someone is trying to destroy you." She didn't answer. Zayn continued. "That night, I was supposed to meet Rashid. He had proof. He was blackmailing me. I went there to take the files back." "You didn't tell me that before," Ariba said coldly. "I couldn't. You wouldn't have helped me if you knew." She stepped back. "So I helped a liar." "No," Zane said. "You helped a friend. You didn't know what was in those files. But I think now someone else does, and they want to blame you for Rashid's disappearance." Ariba's heart dropped. Zane pulled a small paper from his jacket. He kept notes. "I found this in his office before the police sealed it. Your name is on it. And mine. Someone wants to link us both to him." She took the paper. Her fingers felt weak. Then Zane looked straight at her. "You're in danger, Ariba. And I think I know who sent that message to the police." Ariba narrowed her eyes. "Who?" He hesitated. "Samir." Ariba froze. Samir was her cousin, her father's brother's son, a smart, successful man. He was always kind, always helpful. He even supported her after her father died. But deep down, Ariba had always felt something strange around him. "Why would Samir do this?" she asked. Zane's jaw tightened. "Because Rashid and Samir were working together, illegal land deals, fake documents. And you saw Rashid with those files the night you followed me." Ariba remembered. Yes, she saw another man in the building. She never saw his face clearly, but now it made sense. Zane stepped closer. "If we don't speak the truth, they will twist it. And this time, no one will believe you." Ariba looked away. "I can't. I've stayed silent for too long." Zayn's voice softened. "But that's not who you are. You always protected others. Now it's time to protect yourself." Ariba didn't reply. She returned home late that night. Her mother was waiting at the door. "Where were you?" her mother asked, worried. Ariba forced a smile. "Just went to meet someone from school, needed some fresh air." Her mother didn't believe her, but she didn't ask again. That night, Ariba took out her old diary, the one she hadn't touched in 3 years. She opened it. The first page read, The room was silent. Inspector Malik sat across from Ariba at the police station. A file lay closed on the table, but Ariba knew what it contained. Her name, Zayn's name, and details of Rashid Mahmoud's disappearance. She held her hands tightly in her lap. Her voice was soft but steady. "I'm ready to talk." Malik looked surprised. "Are you sure? Once you speak, you can't take it back." Ariba nodded. "I've kept this inside for too long." She closed her eyes for a second, took a deep breath, and began. It was raining that night, just like now. 3 years ago, Zayn wasn't answering his phone. I knew something was wrong, so I followed him. He went into an old building near the college. I waited outside. But after 10 minutes, I heard shouting. A man's voice. Angry. Threatening. I opened the door quietly and walked in. There was a fight. Zayn was holding some papers. Rashid was trying to take them back. There was pushing. And then Rashid slipped on the wet floor. He hit his head on the corner of a table. There was blood. He wasn't moving. Ariba paused. Her fingers were shaking now. Malik leaned forward. "What happened next?" I panicked. Zayn was frozen. He looked broken. I didn't know what to do. So I pulled him out. I told him to leave. I cleaned his hands, threw away the papers, and walked him to the back exit. I didn't tell anyone. Not even my mother. I thought maybe it was an accident. Maybe Rashid was still alive. But the next day, the building was locked. No police, no questions. I stayed quiet. Zayn disappeared, and I tried to forget. Malik looked serious now. Why come forward now? Ariba met his eyes. Because someone else knows. Someone wants to use the past to hurt me. Or worse, blame me. Later that day, Ariba returned home. Her mother had no idea where she had gone. But Ariba just hugged her tightly. Are you okay, Beta? Her mother asked softly. Ariba nodded. I will be. She meant it. But deep inside, she still felt fear. She walked into her room and opened the window. Rain was falling gently. It reminded her of that night again. The blood, the silence, the secret she buried deep in her soul. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You told the police? Bad move. Now the truth will eat you alive. Ariba's chest tightened. She knew it was Samir. He was the only one who could turn her truth into a weapon. The next morning, Malik called her. We found something, he said. Behind the old building. Her heart skipped a beat. What? A bag with blood-stained clothes and a USB drive. Looks like someone wanted us to find it. Now, not before. Ariba was silent. The clothes are Zayn's, he said, and the USB has a video. What video? Malik sighed. You and Zayn. The night it happened. Someone was watching. Ariba felt dizzy. Someone was filming us? Yes, from the rooftop opposite the building. That's how they knew everything. That's how they knew to blackmail you now. That night, Ariba couldn't sleep. Her body was tired, but her mind was alive with fear. She sat at her desk, opened her diary, and began to write again. I always thought I was strong, but now I know. Strength is not hiding your pain. It's facing it. She wrote until her hands hurt. She cried, but she didn't stop. She was finally facing everything she had been running from. The lie, the fear, the pain, and most of all, the night that broke her. The next day, something unexpected happened. Inspector Malik called again. Ariba, we need you to come to the station. Zayn just turned himself in. The air inside the police station felt heavy. Ariba walked in slowly, her heart pounding. Her eyes searched the room until she saw him. Zayn, sitting behind the glass window, handcuffed, head lowered. He looked nothing like the boy she once knew. He looked like a man carrying the weight of the world. Inspector Malik greeted her. Thank you for coming. Zayn wants to speak with you. Alone. Ariba felt nervous, but she nodded. They led her into a small room, cold walls, one table, 2 chairs. Zayn was already there. A guard stood outside the door. She sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Zayn lifted his head. His eyes were red, but calm. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Ariba looked at him. Why did you come back? Because you were never supposed to suffer for my mistake. Her voice cracked. Why didn't you turn yourself in 3 years ago? Zayn looked down. I was afraid. I thought it would go away. I thought, if no one found Rashid, it would all disappear. But it didn't, she said. It came back and destroyed everything. Zayn nodded. I know. That's why I came. I saw the news. I saw your name connected to the case, and I knew I had to end it before they destroyed you too. Ariba's eyes filled with tears. They already did. Zayn looked at her, broken. I never meant for that to happen. Ariba wiped her tears. Then tell the truth. All of it. Even about Samir. Zayn nodded. I will. I recorded everything on that USB drive. Rashid's threats, the documents, even messages from Samir. I hid the USB. I thought if anything happened to me, someone would find it. That's what you gave the police, right? Yes. Zayn leaned back. Then maybe it's not too late. Later, Ariba sat outside the station. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was clear. Zayn had finally taken responsibility, but the damage was already done. People had started to talk. The news had spread. Schoolteacher linked to missing man. Secret connection between Zayn and Ariba. Headlines were everywhere. Some people supported her. Others doubted her. Even her mother had questions now. That evening, Ariba sat down with her mother in their small living room. "Ami," she said softly, "I need to tell you something." Her mother looked at her, scared. "Is it about Zayn or Rashid?" Ariba nodded. "Everything." She told her the whole truth, the fight, the blood, the silence, the guilt. She expected her mother to scream, cry, or collapse. But her mother just took her hand and said, "You were a child. You protected someone when no one else would. That was not weakness. That was love." Ariba burst into tears. For the first time in 3 years, she felt seen. She felt safe. The next day, Inspector Malik called again. "Ariba, we have more news." "What now?" she asked, exhausted. "The video from the USB. It shows Samir meeting Rashid secretly a day before he disappeared. We matched his car, number. And Zayn also gave us voice recordings of Samir threatening him." Ariba felt her stomach twist. "So it's true?" "Yes. Samir was involved in illegal land deals with Rashid. When Rashid tried to blackmail Zayn, Samir tried to silence them both." Ariba felt cold. "What will happen now?" "We're issuing a warrant for Samir's arrest." That night, the doorbell rang. Ariba opened the door, and there he stood, Samir. He looked calm, like nothing was wrong, but his eyes were sharp. "I heard you've been talking," he said. Ariba didn't answer. He stepped forward. "You made a big mistake, Ariba. Do you really think the truth will save you?" She looked him in the eye. "No, but it will destroy you." Just then, police cars pulled up behind him. Sirens. Samir turned, shocked. Officers ran toward him. "You called them?" he whispered. "I didn't have to," she said. "You walked into your own trap." The officers grabbed Samir and handcuffed him. As they took him away, Samir looked back one last time, not angry but stunned, as if he never thought she could fight back. But she had. That night, Ariba sat by the window, the same one where it all began. The rain was falling again, but this time it didn't feel scary. It felt like freedom. The town had grown quieter. People still whispered when Ariba passed, but now it was different. Some looked at her with sympathy, others with respect. A few still stared with doubt. But she didn't care anymore. She had spoken the truth. Zayn was in police custody. Samir was behind bars, and the storm that had followed her for 3 years was finally beginning to fade. Yet, inside her, a different storm still raged. Not of fear, but of guilt. The guilt of staying silent. Of protecting Zayn. Of hiding the truth. Of almost losing herself. That silence had nearly destroyed her. And now, she felt the heavy weight of it all. One evening, Ariba walked into the school where she used to teach. The principal had called her after hearing everything on the news. "We've missed you," he said with a kind smile. "The children ask about you." Ariba felt her heart warm a little. "I didn't think I'd ever come back." He nodded. "People forget, Ariba, but those you help, they remember." She walked down the hallway, memories flooding her mind. The laughter of children, chalk dust on her fingers, the joy of teaching. For a moment, it felt like the past hadn't stolen her peace. Later that day, she sat at a small cafe with Inspector Malik. He had become a quiet supporter in her journey, a man who listened, not judged. Samir confessed. He told her. He said Rashid was going to expose everything, and when you and Zayn got involved by accident, he panicked. He tried to bury the truth, Ariba whispered. Yes, Malik said, but truth always finds its way. She nodded slowly, then looked up. What about Zayn? He'll face a trial, he replied. But your testimony helped him. The judge may show mercy, especially since it wasn't murder. It was a tragic accident. Ariba said nothing. Because even if the law called it an accident, she knew it had broken more than one life. That night, she sat alone on the rooftop, holding her old diary. She opened a fresh page. The silence I kept was not only to protect someone else. It was also because I didn't believe anyone would understand me. But maybe I was wrong. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She wasn't crying for Zayn. She wasn't crying for Rashid. She was crying for the version of herself who had stayed quiet when her soul was screaming. The next morning, Ariba went to meet Zayn at the detention center. The message on Ariba's phone kept flashing in her mind. It's not over. There's still something you don't know. She sat alone in her room, holding the phone tightly. Who sent it? What didn't she know? Samir was in jail. Zayn had confessed. Rashid was gone. Wasn't that everything? She thought the nightmare had ended. But maybe it was only sleeping. Ariba decided to meet Inspector Malik again. I received another message, she said. He leaned forward. Same number as before? No, she said. This one's different. It's like someone else is watching. Malik's eyes darkened. We'll trace it. But Ariba, you need to be ready. Sometimes the truth hurts more than the lie. Nodded. I just want it all to end. The fear, the secrets, the whispers in the dark. That night, Ariba went through her old things. Files, books, her father's diaries. She didn't know what she was looking for until she found a photo. It was taken when she was a teenager, standing next to her father and two other men. One of them was Rashid. The second man, she had never noticed him before. But now his face looked familiar. It was a young Samir. She turned the photo over. There was something written in her father's handwriting. Land papers discussed. Rashid warned us. Keep files safe. Her heart skipped a beat. Her father knew. Samir and Rashid were in business, long before she ever got involved, and her father may have tried to stop them. Ariba ran to her mother. Ami, do you know anything about Abu's business with Samir or Rashid? Her mother hesitated. Beta, your father was an honest man. But he got involved with the wrong people. He tried to back out, but they threatened him. Ariba's voice cracked. Did Samir threaten him? Her mother's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. But your father always told me one thing before he died. If anything happens to me, don't trust family blindly. Ariba felt her world spin. Her father died in a road accident. Or so she believed. But now, what if it wasn't an accident? The next day, Malik called. We traced the message. It came from an old number, registered under a name we didn't expect. Whose? Ariba asked. Rashid's wife. Ariba didn't know Rashid had a family. His name was always tied to corruption, not personal stories. Malik arranged a meeting. Ariba met the woman at a quiet house outside town. She looked older than her age, eyes tired from grief. I've been watching. Everything, the woman said. I know my husband wasn't a good man. But he wanted to fix things before he died. Ariba stayed silent. He tried to expose Samir, she said, but your father warned him to be careful. They planned to go to the police together. What happened? Ariba asked. She took a deep breath. Samir found out. First your father died, then Rashid was blackmailed. When Rashid met Zayn that night, he was already being hunted. Ariba's voice shook. So my father's death wasn't an accident? The woman nodded slowly. It was made to look like one. That's why I sent you the message. You deserve to know. Tears rolled down Ariba's cheeks. All this time, she thought she was just covering up one night. But the truth went deeper. Her silence had covered up a murder. Later that night, Ariba stood alone at her father's grave. The wind was cold, the sky quiet. I'm sorry, Abu, she whispered. I didn't see it, I didn't ask. I stayed silent, but I won't anymore. She placed the photo on the grave. I'll tell the world. I'll write it all. Not just about that night, but about everything. The land, the lies, the silence, and you. Weeks later, Ariba published her story online. The full truth. It went viral. News channels picked it up. The investigation into her father's death reopened. People saw her not as a criminal, not as a victim, but as a fighter. Zayn's sentence was reduced. Samir's case expanded. And Ariba, she returned to her life. Not the same life, but a new one. She was no longer afraid of whispers because she had spoken louder than them. It had been 3 months since Ariba's story went public. People had moved on. News channels stopped reporting. Samir's trial was ongoing. Zayn was serving a short sentence, and Ariba had returned to the classroom. But deep inside, something still didn't feel finished. There were nights when she still dreamed of her, father calling her name. Nights when she woke up to silence that didn't feel peaceful. It felt like a warning. One morning, she received a brown envelope in her school mailbox. No stamp, no name. Inside, it was a single photo. Zayn talking to Samir. But the date written on the back was from last year. How is this possible? She whispered. Zayn had claimed he hadn't seen Samir in 3 years. He swore it in court. He said he came back to protect her. But this photo said something else. That evening, Ariba visited Inspector Malik again. He studied the photo. His eyes narrowed. This changes things. You believe it's real? She asked. I do. It's not photoshopped. And if this is true, it means Zayn lied to you and the court. Ariba's chest felt tight. But why would he do that? Why would he come back, confess, and still lie? Malik looked her in the eye. Maybe he didn't come back to protect you. Maybe he came to protect himself. Ariba couldn't sleep. That night, Zayn, the boy who once gave her comfort, the man who said he returned for her, had he fooled her again? She dug through the old USB drive, the one he gave her. In the folder hidden behind a strange file name, she found a video file she hadn't seen before. She clicked. It was shaky footage, a phone camera. In a dark room, Zayn's voice, Samir's voice, both laughing. Zayn, if she finds out, it's over. Samir, she won't. She trusts you. That's your power. Zayn, let her carry the guilt. We walk free. Ariba's hands went cold. It was all a game. All of it, Zayn. And Samir were never enemies. They were partners. The night Rashid died, Zayn wasn't protecting her. He was using her to hide their crime. He came back not out of guilt, but because Samir was about to betray him. Ariba had been a pawn. Again. She went straight to Malik's office the next morning. She placed the USB on his desk. This is the real story. I want the truth in the court. I want his name out of mine. Malik looked at her with respect. You're brave, Ariba. Most people break, but you... I've already been broken, she said. Now I want justice. 2 weeks later, the court reopened Zayn's case. The video was shown. Zayn's reduced sentence was canceled. He was charged again, this time with intentional deception and criminal manipulation. Samir's case became even stronger. Ariba sat in the courtroom, not crying, not shaking. She was no longer a victim. She was the witness, the fighter, the survivor. As she stepped outside the court, reporters ran to her. "Miss Ariba, any last words?" She looked straight into the cameras. "The truth never dies. It just waits for someone strong enough to find it." That night, she sat by her father's grave again. "I kept your promise, Abu," she whispered. "I didn't trust blindly again." The wind was calm, the moon full. This time, she wasn't alone. She had herself. And that was enough.